Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome to Unjust. This week we
Hello.
have such an amazing lineup. I'm Nike. Of course, we have the beautiful Shantae McLaughlin that's going to join us in a couple moments. There she is. Hi, Shantae.
Hi, I'm in my car.
So
Hey, y'all.
it's been a crazy busy week for me, and I know it's always a crazy busy week for you. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and jump right into this week's topic. As promised, we have Freedom Fest Part Two. Freedom Fest is an amazing event put together by the beautiful Miss Demita Bishop, who has put together a great lineup of activists, advocates. There will be attorneys, there will be families, there will be families whose families have been whose family members have been impacted by the criminal justice system in one way or another, whether it be harsh sentencing or wrongful conviction or just the incarceration in general. So we're gonna let Miss Demita talk a little bit about Freedom Fest and introduce the other amazing people that we had to speak with. Oh wait, Shantae, did you want to say anything?
No, you did a great job, Nike. Demita, I can't wait to hear what you got to say. I'm out here in these streets, stuck in traffic. Gregory is in the back seat, but he's going with mom tomorrow, so we're gonna miss him the next couple of episodes. But
Oh,
yeah, we're gonna let Demita take it away.
you're on mute, Mama.
Okay, sorry about that. I think Nike did a great job. I think I'll just let her follow me around and tell them all about Freedom Fest from now on. But yes, Freedom Fest is an event that just out of I put it together out of frustration of all the calls I get. I think I told somebody today, if I give you my fair phone, you'll throw it out the window. Because, I wake up in the morning between Messenger on Facebook, Instagram, Clubhouse, whatever, with my husband has been locked away for 80 years and whatever. And this is a all day, everyday thing. And at first, when I started getting these calls, I was like, oh my God, how are they finding me? This is amazing. And then later on, it was, go God, leave me alone. But, it just made me, when I first started doing this, I thought I was something special. But now I understand that if any of you get on social media and you start talking about wrongful convictions, unfair sentencing, people are going to want you to talk about their case. And so, their family members, they join every prison reform group that they can join. They follow all the activists. They just kind of follow around looking for people who are talking about justice, and they try to get them to help with their loved one's case. And it's just so overwhelming that I felt like we needed a revolution. So I said, let me figure out a way to bring all these people together in one spot. And we live in Atlanta, so who don't like it? It's like you live in Atlanta or Miami, you can get people to come to you. So that was the first thing that kind of helped me out, is we're in Atlanta. And then I just started first I reached out to the activists, and the activists, most activists don't like to work with other activists. So, I had maybe two, and one of them's on here. No, I had like three or four. Sarah was real willing to get on gone. I just met Dion, but um, I went to the families and I just said, hey, if I have this an event in Atlanta, 4th of July weekend, will you come? And they were like, sure. And that's how I started pushing Freedom Fest. I started with the families, and then when it grew from me and the families posting about it, then the activists started coming. Well, I want to be there, and it just grew. It took off from there, and I'm excited.
And it's beautiful. I posted it one time and I'm seeing the people that's coming under it like, I can't wait, I can't wait. People have contacted me. Um, there are people that, two people who are incarcerated in Gwinnett, just right now, like they were in prison and they're in Gwinnett for the time being because they're fighting appeals. And my beloved was able to get the information to them. So their families is planning on coming out this Saturday too.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Yeah.
So no problem. So you want to go ahead and introduce one of the speakers?
So yes, we're going to start with Mr. Dion Rigonell from Michigan. Dion, tell them all about yourself and what you do and your organization.
Can you guys
You're on
hear me?
Here we go.
You can hear me?
We can.
Okay. Okay. My name is Dion Rigonell. I'm an advocate here in Michigan. I'm currently a resident of Detroit, Michigan, and I advocate for the men and women that's incarcerated all over the country, actually. And I'm affiliated with two organizations. One organization is Free People, Free People, and what Free People is just connecting with other free people to free some other people. You know, we know that a lot of things go on in our lives that we might have trouble with, not even dealing with incarceration. It can have something to do with your finances. It can have something to do with, just a day-to-day thought that you might need to get a kind word from somebody to free them up from where they're at. And also, I'm affiliated with this organization called Steps to Life. And Steps to Life is an organization, it's a reentry organization that help individuals when they get out of prison, not so much as help them get their IDs, a place to stay, clothing, a lot of other things that they help individuals with dealing with post-traumatic stress, dealing with the anxieties of things that happen when you've been gone for so long. If you've been off the street for 30, 40 years, you think you might think you could come out here and everything, jump back into the boat, ride and everything, but that's not the case. It's another brother by the name of Hines Bay came home. He did 42 years in prison. And he came home and he told me, he said, man, my family took me to a restaurant, and it was about 20 people at the restaurant. His family welcomed him home, so they put a menu in front of him, and he couldn't pick out what he wanted to eat because he was so used to eating what the institution brought to him for him to eat. So that caused a lot of anxiety with him, and that anxiety caused him it triggered something in him. So he decided that he didn't want his family members around him at the moment, because whatever that anxiety triggered in him, it made him feel uncomfortable. So what Steps to Life do, they offer counseling, they offer mentorship, and they offer a lot of other programs. And some of the things that I do, I'm affiliated with I started a podcast, and my nephew was doing a life bid in prison, but he's on his way home, as well as a sister by the name of Susan Brown. She's in Huron Valley. So what I did was I reached out to my nephew and I reached out to Susan Brown. And what we do is I go live on Facebook with them on my Facebook page every week. That gives them a chance to talk to the people and give them a chance to interact with other individuals that's out in society, as well as the individuals that's locked up. Because sometimes I pre-record some of our conversations, and I might talk to somebody in Virginia, and I can let them hear their conversations and relay it. So I give a voice to the voiceless as well, And when I seen that there was going to be a Freedom Fest, I said, man, this is something that I want to be a part of. But I had to make sure that it was real. Because when you're dealing with Facebook, you don't know what you're gonna get. People out here say they're gonna have something, and you put your time and effort into it, and then you turn around and it's like, where my money at? Where the event at? What's going on? So when I reached out to Miss Bishop, and she was genuine. She told me that she was putting this thing together, and did I have any questions about everything? And I'm real high on security, so I wanted to know. But what? How is the security going to be out there? Because when you get a bunch of people together, especially advocates, when you get out there and you saying power to the people and you raising the crowd up, that could cause a lot of, it could cause an uprising. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that we don't want it. We do want an uprising. We want a good uprising. We want our voices to be heard to get the job that to get the assignment done. So I'm on an assignment. It's people that's in prison that I'm dedicating my life to come back out here, and I'm a real spiritual person, so when God directed me to do something, I jumped on it. So to meet a lot of people, and the sisters in Huron Valley and the brothers that's here incarcerated that I speak to that know about you, they told me to give you their blessings. They really appreciate what you're doing. They really this is well needed. It's bringing families together. You bringing people together that's from different areas that's fighting the same fight. This mass incarceration, we fighting this mass incarceration. We fighting this this over sentence. We fighting this aged out of crime. You know what I'm saying? It's time to get our people back out here. And some of these brothers and sisters are ready to come back out here into society. And it's a proven fact that Once they're back out here, they already made programs inside of the institutions to help other people out in the institutions. So they want to get out here and help the young people out here. So it's just an honor to be a part of something this big, you know what I'm saying? And I stand in solidarity with everybody on this platform right now. And I can't wait to meet every and last one of you and get down to Atlanta and show up and show out. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Dion. That was great. I wanted to ask a question before we move on to the next person. For the reentry program that you was talking about, what state is that out of?
It's in Michigan. It's in
Okay.
Michigan. I'll be down in Atlanta. I don't know if it's if the sister is planning on expanding her outreach to other people, which would be lovely because it helps a lot of people here in Michigan that gets out of prison. You know, we donate a lot of clothing, even housing. You know what I'm saying? But what we're trying to do is like trying to link up with other organizations that's doing the same thing in other states. You know what I'm saying? And we could come together that way and
Yeah.
piggyback off of each other. So say like you in Atlanta and it's a re-entry program in Atlanta and you might be lacking something. You know what I'm saying? So we'll be able to donate or we'll be able to contribute to your organization to help the ones that need the help and it's vice versa. We might ask you to help us in a way that we might need your help in Atlanta. You know, a lot of times, a lot of people, when they get out of prison, they don't want to stay where they lived at, where they caught their case at. You know, some people like to leave. So it might be somebody that might want to come down to Atlanta. So we'll have the proper people in Atlanta when they get there that they can meet down there. And instead of coming down there blind, they'll be welcomed by another reentry program to help them along their way in Atlanta or wherever the case it might be, Florida, wherever, you know.
Absolutely. That sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
I just want to say Detroit over everybody. Y'all know that's my root.
Yes.
I
Go ahead.
also,
But
if I
that could
got a
be
little time, I got a recording that I did that the sister wanted me to let you guys hear it. If you don't mind, it's only a minute. Can I get a minute?
Yeah, that's fine as long as she doesn't say any like really bad words.
No. Here it is.
Panel of people. I would like to introduce myself. I am Susan Brown, and I am located here in Detroit. Well, it's Ypsilanti, Michigan. I've been incarcerated for 19 years, and I'd just like to say thank you so much for this opportunity and give us the opportunity to discuss this beautiful, amazing Freedom Festival that we have. Danita Bishop is presenting a Freedom Festival, and it is such an amazing opportunity and platform for incarcerated individuals such as myself, who's been incarcerated for 19 years. It gives me the chance and us the chance to say hello to the world and let the world see us as humanity, as humans, and no longer as incarcerated individuals. We can rise above our poorest choices that have found us in the circumstances. Dion Reganell has an amazing platform of free people, and we plan on going down and representing incarcerated individuals who have been incarcerated for far too long. We are looking forward to hearing many of the wonderful and amazing things that other people have to offer and us coming together as a unity. I come representing sisterhood. I'm looking for all the sisters out there to join me in a unity and a coalition of amazing, powerful women that we were put here on the face of this earth to be a part of. So I'd just like to say things like this and opportunities like this are phenomenal, and we so need them. I look forward to more. And again, I am Susan Brown, and it has been a pleasure, and I look forward to more with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that was
Yes,
Susan Brown
and
and Miss Bishop. Miss Bishop, you truly are a blessing to those that are incarcerated for putting this together. You know, when God gave this
thank
vision
you.
to you, when God gave you this vision in a dream, and you acted on it, you didn't hesitate to act on it, and that was what was needed for you to act on it. Because just imagine if you'd have slept on it. If you'd have slept on it, it would have so many people would have been so, you know, not. It would have been a mess, but that didn't happen. The right thing happened. So God bless you,
Thank
sister.
you. Thank you. We're going to discuss more. You touched on some things I want to discuss, but I want to move on and let everybody introduce themselves and then we'll have the conversation. So we want to go down to Sarah from Alabama. Roll Tide. You got the mic, Sarah. Tell them about your organization and where you're from.
Hi, I'm Sarah DeArmond. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, and I have my own nonprofit, Voiceless Behind Bars, and we raise money for those who've been wrongfully incarcerated, overly sentenced through tax deductible donations so they can pay any legal fees that they need to fight their wrongful convictions. I got started in 2020 with I was tagged on TikTok when it came to the case of Purvis Pain. From there, I started learning. I was pretty ignorant to the whole thing back then, but I didn't realize just how many people are wrongfully convicted. But the more I learned about it, like Billy Allen, I'm still working on his case. And the more I learned about it, the more I realized, okay, this needs to be talked about more. And started my nonprofit late last year.
And I became a fan of yours. Some of the guys that you advocate for would tag me in your TikToks. And one day I slid in her DMs and introduced myself, and we've been working together ever since. I'll say, "Can you make a TikTok for me?" And she'll, "Sure, whatever you need." And we went from there. But she goes hard, and I'm a fan of her. She goes really hard, and I don't know, I like people when they're aggressive like me. It's not just tap dancing on what's happening. She's in your face. Just so I don't feel so crazy when I'm standing there talking to attorneys and judges, and I'm so when I see other people that act like me, then I know I'm not psycho, that I'm doing the right thing. So when I see her and she's going just as hard as me, I feel like I have a sisterhood there. Now if they put us in a room with more people like us, they're in trouble. But I do thank you and Dion for the work that you do in Alabama, and both of you across state lines. She does have a nonprofit, but right now it doesn't have all the funding that it needs to have. So, if you guys want to know more about it, you can come to Freedom Fest and you can donate to her, because she really does make sure that the attorneys get paid for the people that reach out to her. I can vouch for that myself. So you can come to Freedom Fest. You can talk to her, talk to her husband, learn more how to support her, learn more how to support Dion and all the other organizations coming. So now, before I get to Glenn, I want to introduce Angie Lanier. You've had her on before. She is the mother of Matthew Baker Jr. Angie, you got the floor.
Hi, Angie.
Hey, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm having internet problems, so if right now I can hear everybody. So first, I want to say thank you, Demita, for everything that you have done for our family. And hey, Sarah, I'm so glad that I get a chance to actually meet you.
Hey, it's good to
I
meet
was
you.
really, I was really shocked when she did a TikTok for me for Matthew, and so when I seen it, I went onto TikTok, and I'm not a big TikToker, but my grandbaby is, and I had to DM her and say thank you so much. It was just wonderful. So I mean, it's just the little small things like that that I really, really appreciate to try to help advocate for Matthew. I don't even really know where to start. I mean, I was doing this for by myself for a long time, for about 4 years until last year when I met Demita just by having a conversation with a stranger at work. And I just said the same thing I tell everybody. Yeah, I'm going through some issues with my son right now. He's sitting in the county jail for 3, 4, 5. Now we're hitting almost this October be 6 years and for a crime he didn't commit, and the person that actually committed the crime has already admitted to it, but the system will not let him go for whatever reason. They're trying to pin this on him, and he didn't have absolutely nothing, no evidence, no nothing, saying that he did anything. So when I met Demita, it was just by the grace of God, because I have prayed through this whole entire thing and just asked God to lead me and lead the right people in our path, and to make sure that we don't have the little trolls and stuff like that that we normally do to be trying to lurk his page and stuff like that. So I from almost 6 years ago to now, it's been so many people that have jumped on board and supported him on social media and stuff. We've got a petition up. You can go to change.org and sign a petition. We've got it grew somebody in Texas set it up for me. um I was in the process of doing it, but we had court and a bunch of other stuff, and so me, Demita, and Kaylin, which Demita got Honeysuckle magazine, picked up Matthew's story and wrote every article on Matthew's case, amongst many a podcast that I've been on and stuff too. So that has grown tremendously in a year. So I have to give kudos to Demita for that, because if it was not for the passion that she has in her heart.
Oh. Well, and you left out a lot of important information because the way you just said it, they're probably like another person saying their loved one is wrongfully convicted. No, and like Dion, I'm also spiritual, so Angie reached out to me through an old boss of mine. He was like my boss in my 20s, and he told her about me, and I was like, I didn't even know he knew I was doing all this. And then, what, a few weeks later, the actual killer reached out to me and said, "Hey, help Matthew." So Matthew is facing a death penalty, the ultimate punishment. He's been sitting in county jail for 6 years. There's no DNA evidence of him touching the guns. There was no blood or gunpowder on his skin or clothing. He did not drive the vehicle. He was in a car with four other white children. He was in the back seat of the car. And the front seat was the driver, pretty little white girl. The one that Jacob Koski called was another pretty white girl. So on most of the cases that I advocate for, they would be the accessors. But the person in the back seat of the car, in this case, is the accessor, the only black kid. I'm big on not pulling the race card because I can't never see it in a document. And I kept telling Angie that, like, Angie would pull the race card, and I told her I don't like to pull it because when I go through documents, there's nothing in those documents that's going to say we put Matthew Baker in jail because he's black. They're not going to ever say that. And when you go through post conviction, you can only use what was in those documents. So those are some of the most important things on his case, as well as the fact that Jacob constantly tells them that he barely knew Matthew, and Matthew had nothing to do with this crime. Jacob Koski wrote me. He wrote Fox 5 News. He wrote the judge. He wrote the district attorney. He's he's committed crimes to try to get himself back in court, like violent crimes, to try to get himself back in court so that he can make the judge let Matthew go. And I have this in writing. He wrote this to me in JPay messages. And I had to tell him to stop. I said, because you're no longer in Henry County. So if you commit a crime, you're not going to right. You're going to the court where you are. And he's in Georgia Medical Prison. He's been so violent in his attempts to help Matthew that they have him chained down a lot. And he suffers from schizophrenia, autism. He's slightly bipolar and ADHD. And he openly admitted that when he killed the children, it's because he thought that they took his money, and after he executed them, he found his money. It had nothing to do with Matthew. He said he didn't know he was going to kill him until he killed him. So, I've been really pushing Matthew's case. Sarah's been pushing it. Shantae's helped us. We've been going hard because this case needs to get national. It doesn't get no more wrongfully convicted than this. And it's the ultimate punishment. There's nothing worse than getting a death penalty. So not only are they trying to take his freedom, they're trying to kill him. So everybody in the country needs to be talking about Matthew Baker Jr. So when you come to Freedom Fest, and I know, Angie, I know you're tired of talking, so that's why I picked it up, because I know you've worked all day and this is just like another song and dance. But it is important that the entire nation jump on this case like they did Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, or whatever. I mean, we advocate for people that are already convicted. He has not been convicted yet. So if all eyes gets on this case, we've got a team fighting it for him because he's using public defenders, and you know that it's going to go bad. But I can't stress enough that the entire nation needs to be talking about Matthew Baker Jr. It needs to be a conversation for everyone. So, and I'm sorry, Angie, that I took over. I hope I didn't overstep, but I just had to put that out.
I don't
No,
see her
that
in the
was beautiful.
StreamYard, but I was gonna say we need justice for Matthew because y'all have been fighting this fight for a while, in 6 years, and Georgia needs to do something about our restitution laws because for him to sit in jail, not prison, for 6 years while they build a case is totally
It's
unjust.
what a violation of all kinds of constitutional rights, and that's it's scary when you first meet me and I'm pushing the Constitution down your throat, and I did that to Angie, and it's scary because you have this woman who's never been to law school, and you have attorneys who've been to law school trying to tell you what to do and what not to do. But now, Angie's watched me work other cases and they're home. And plus Angie's in them law books just as hard as me. But when I first met her, I'm showing her, look, he needs to write this down. He needs to say it in front of the judge. And the attorneys were fighting me by saying she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's not an attorney. She's not a paralegal. So, and I said, yeah, but I can read. Are Black people and women still allowed to read? Because I can read. I know what this says. So, it's kind of too late now for us to go backwards with Matthew because they've already started the motion hearing. So we have to proceed forward for trial. But in future references, if you're ever in a situation, if you're advocating for someone who has not been convicted and are just sitting in a county jail, you sit them down, you pull the Constitution out, and you have them write something like, my name is Demita Bishop, and I've been sitting in the Cobb County Jail now for 8 months. I have not, the Constitution says I have a right to see all the evidence that you have against me. It says I have a right to see who these witnesses are and see their statements so that I can cross-examine them. I have a right to be indicted. I have a right to a fast and speedy trial, and it has been 8 months, and I have not even been to trial. And I have a right to adequate counsel. I have only been introduced to my attorney and nothing more. All of these things are a violation of my constitutional rights, and either you release me or you let me go back home to my family and watch what happens. You have to break it down what they're doing to you. So everybody got quiet. Y'all good?
That's heavy. That is heavy, y'all. No,
Yeah,
that is
Yeah.
when you're dealing with the court system, and you're right, the Constitution is one of the greatest documents that was ever made. But you have to really decipher that Constitution. Like we are, when you get arrested, you're entitled to your due process, and I think it's 180 days before you that you got to go to trial. Six,
It
you said
depends
it's
on
about.
the state. Every state is different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but you just find out what it is for your state, and you put them. You have to tell them, like if you've been arrested, like you said, if it's 180 days, and you have to say it is now March 3rd. You have until 180 days from now to get me in court. But the trick to it is you have to get it on record. Everything has
Right.
to be on record. When you go in front of a judge, your weapons are your mouth and that stenographer. So everything that you get on record can help you now, it can help you later, and it can help you if you lose and have to go to prison. It can help you in the post conviction. If you don't
Well,
get anything on record, that's why we have all these people sitting in prison for decades and decades, and they're actually innocent because when they went to court, their attorney silenced them. They didn't turn the evidence wasn't submitted on time, so they didn't get to use them. And when you go to court, the only person talking on record is the prosecutor. So that's
I'm
how the
also
rule about
affiliated with this organization called the Exonerees of Michigan, and some of the brothers in the Exonerees. If I could get that brother name and some information on that brother, I definitely can pass his name on to those brothers that's already been wrongfully convicted and been exonerated to get the support, some more support behind that brother. I would love to
thank
aid and
you.
assist in that light.
Just make sure you let them know he has not been convicted yet. Because a lot
Exactly.
of organizations, that's the requirement. But we have to jump on this before the conviction. Can y'all
I
hear
will.
me?
Yep,
Yeah,
I'm willing to help
it's
with
giving
that.
It's
feedback,
frozen.
but we can hear you.
Okay. What about now? Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay, so I know the show, we started late, but I asked Glenn Williams to come on because he's one of the guys who's going to be filming a documentary. So Glenn, introduce yourself to everyone and tell them all about what you do and your role at Freedom Fest.
Okay, so like you said, my role at Freedom Fest, I do producing and directing, so I'll be doing the filming for the documentary, and I teach up-to-date skill sets in self-management, personal growth, and workforce development. I'm the owner and operator of Community Workforce Reentry Group. We cater to youth, adults, seniors, ex-offenders, and at-risk youth. And we've combined that program with film, talent, and entertainment to kind of like capture a broader audience. So me myself, I was gone for about 23, and I was given clemency by ex-President Barack Obama in 2017. So I taught classes while in there, and I brought that same thing out here. So when I met Demeter from a good friend of mine, and I agreed to do the filming part of it, and whatever other aid and support she needs me to do, I'm there for it. But like she was saying, in the county jails, where they have them guys sitting, they're wasting time and killing their rights and trying to tire them out just to make them plead guilty to the offense, whether they did it or not. They wait them out, get them so tired of being in there, then they come back a year or two later and say, hey, we'll let you go tomorrow if you plead guilty. We'll give you time served if you plead guilty. But they're getting those felonies on their record. So now when they go out, they have one felony, come back, same thing. Once they get the 2 and 3 strikes, that's automatic life. They're gone, put away off the street. So they have a bunch of strategies, and what the media is doing. Great mission she's on. I'm here to support her, whatever needs to be done.
Thank
Her
you.
strategy is attack while they're still sitting in there, while they haven't
Mhm.
been convicted. It's a lot easier to say, hey, we see what you've been doing to this guy. He's been here 6 months, 8 months, a year. Let him go because of this. That's the
Yeah.
best way, best opportunity to get him out there. So thanks again, Demetrius, for all your hard work. So I'm here for whatever.
Yes, and I'm here for all of you guys, but I do want to touch on one thing. My organization was not supposed to be a post-conviction organization. It's supposed to, well, it is an organization that stops the conviction. Or, sometimes you have to get convicted. Sometimes I have to sit you down and say, "What? Come on, you're gonna have to take that plea because it doesn't get no better than that." And I've had a couple of cases where me and some incarcerated individuals worked it, and the man ended up getting 5, do 2 with 1 to serve. Another guy we just worked a few weeks ago got he got 2 years on the, what is it, the First Time Offenders Act, but he only has to do 30 days in jail. I mean, 90 days in jail. But the key to it is that we're moving before it becomes a conviction. Because when you let them get convicted, the damage is done if they didn't try to get anything, if they just sat in that courtroom, not on purpose because you believe in your attorney and you believe that they're going to do right by you. So if you sit there and you don't talk and you're not record your evidence, like I have to tell even Matthew, like when you're in that courtroom, you need to you need to have a pencil and paper and you need to write down the deadlines. Shit.
Yeah, basically what she's saying too. I studied. Can you guys still hear me? Okay.
We,
So
we can hear
basically,
you.
what she
Go
was
ahead,
saying is
Glenn. I'm
that.
sorry, I was on mute.
Oh, okay. Thanks. So I studied law while I was there. So I was like what you termed like the jailhouse lawyer. But when you do go to court proceedings today, write down everything. When you go in there, write down dates of things that have happened next, what hasn't happened yet, because it's very important to get them dates in your hand and put stuff that's on your mind on that court record. Their strategy is to keep you from putting anything on the record. You go in there and it's we're gonna postpone it again. You're like, well, listen, this is the 5th time you guys postponed this. They'll try to shut you up because they don't want that on the record, but it's good to get all that stuff on the record. So for future references, they can't say, well, you never complained about it before. They're good at that. And that's what takes a lot of our rights later on down the line. So
Right.
definitely.
Yes, thank you. I caught a lot of what you said, so thank you for finishing everything. But yeah, that's the most important thing. And post conviction, the damage is done. And like, I constantly tell people each phase of the courtroom has a rule that has to be followed. So they're post convict. A lot of these innocent people, they know or act, they knew were innocent the day they entered into that jail. But these cities don't want to lose funding. When I started doing work in Missouri, I learned that like Ferguson and St. Louis, that the prosecutors will go to the low income communities and actually pick who they're going to pin a crime on. And they go to like maybe a kid that's been hot wiring cars and stuff. And next, all of a sudden, if you look at his record, it'll say like shoplifting, hot wire, and then all of a sudden it's mass murder. Like he hasn't been doing that, but all of a sudden now you got him for this big murder. One of my first cases was Orlando Field, and I desperately want to get him out, but he's time barred. But Orlando was 5'1", 15 years old, and 130 pounds soaking wet. The wife described the killer as being over 6 feet tall, and she even defended Orlando in his trial, yelling out, that baby did not kill my husband." And yet he got 225 years in prison. So, you know, once I started reading all these post conviction cases, then it let me know how important it is to fight that conviction if you can,
before it gets
or
there.
before it gets there. And I'm trying to encourage more organizations to do the same, to stop what looking, I don't want to I'm not saying turn your back on the wrongful convictions, but try to stop them from getting more bodies as well, because that's our answers to how these wrongful convictions have happened. Well, the wrongful convictions tell us the story of what we need to be fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And we have, the government put the stats out last year. 240,000 people are currently sitting in jails and they're actually innocent. Now, I'm gonna back up and say it again. The government put these numbers out. Demeter didn't put these numbers out. 240,000 people approximately, because it's probably more. And then 565,000 men are in prison, not men, but people are in prison with a life sentence, and they pose no threat to the community. And most of the time, the person they didn't kill anyone or even rape anyone or injure anyone. They just might have had drugs, or they might have did an armed robbery, but they didn't kill the victims. They just stole from them. Do they have to be gone until they die, or can we do something better? And I constantly tell these politicians that, you're every day since the Bible, before the Bible, people were committing crimes. You're going to get a criminal. You're going to find somebody to sit in these jails. You don't have to kidnap people. Right this moment, somebody's committing a crime. Somewhere in the world, there's a crime being committed. You don't have to just grab me and put me in prison because you don't went and build a
You
prison.
don't have to go out and look for it. Like, there's no need to pull over every black person with tinted windows and dreadlocks.
Right.
You
Exactly. But
Miss,
see,
Yeah,
this
you have,
right here is not even a black issue. It's a poverty, it's a class issue, because rich black people can get out of prison.
yeah, you have guys.
But if you don't have the money to fight them, you're gonna get pulled in. If you don't have the money or enough knowledge, because 90% of us don't have enough knowledge to fight the court system. And until
and
three
like you
years
said,
ago,
Miss
if they
Bishop,
grab me, they were gonna get me. Now they can play with me if they want to, but not, 3 years ago, if I ended up in jail for something I didn't commit, I would go to prison for life.
and like you said, Miss Bishop, some of these politicians, they, and we put these people in office because they'll come out with a campaign and tell us this and tell us that, and then once they get in that office, they'll turn a blind eye against what everything that they said they was going to do for mass incarceration. So we really got to be mindful. That's why I'm so glad you're having this Freedom Festival, because this is not this is not a city to state problem. It's a worldwide problem. This is happening
National.
everywhere. And this is a great time to do what you're doing, because this is an election year. All the politicians are watching. So
Yeah.
this is the time to get grounded on Atlanta, for the people that's representing those institutions. You know what I'm saying? They talk about it every day when they go to the chambers. They'll put a bill out. It's a bill right now in Michigan that can help a lot of individuals get out of prison, but they keep backsliding the bill. The bill is there, but they keep backsliding. So when,
Right.
when we do things like this and let the politicians know that, our votes do count. You know what I'm saying? And the people that get behind certain politicians, they got to act out what they say they're going to do.
See, right now it's hard because the crime rate nationally is so high. So, if I go in Atlanta, it's not in the hood, it's the hood, but you can't even go to Midtown or Buckhead or, Inman Park or somewhere where the rich people hang out. There's crime there too. So when, a rich person can't even go to their 5-star restaurant and eat without a drive-by, they're not feeling sorry when I show a picture of a man, mostly a man, is saying, this man got an unfair sentence for robbery. They're like, good, because I just got my car jacked, or, we were eating and my neighbor got shot or something. So but it's no sympathy here. But the law is a law is a law, and they don't know the law like we know the law. We've taken the time to listen to these incarcerated individuals and learn the law and learn what needs to change about these laws so that we can get them out. The only problem is they don't like to make these laws retroactive. And when you look at a law that's being changed, the language on it always says that it was unfair and unjust. It always starts off this law unfairly or was unjust to the citizens, but we're not going to make it retroactive. So you can't get out of prison on a post conviction without a constitutional violation. So I like to throw out that saying that you had a law that unjustly sentenced men, women, whatever, and you refuse to make it retroactive because they're going to want to get back in the courtroom and get out of prison is cruel and unusual punishment. So you did them dirty. You're not going to do it to nobody else, but the people you did it to, they have to suffer. That's cruel and unusual punishment. And we've got to push to get these laws retroactive. On the federal level, there's a crack law on the table that's been pushed through Congress that's on a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning that anybody that's been sitting in prison since the 80s and 90s, once the Senate passes it, it can go, they can all get out of prison as long as the murder's not attached to their crime. Unfortunately, if the Senate passes it, they're not going to make it retroactive because it affects over 100,000 federal inmates, and they don't want that's money out their pocket. So
Yeah,
we need a revolution, and Freedom Fest is to start.
yeah. And
Absolutely.
that's a good point you made because in there right now you have people that have been in there for crack based on 100 times one hundred grams of cocaine is the same punishment you get for 1 gram of crack. But they declared 15 years ago that cocaine and crack was equal, had the same effect on the body, on the mind. It didn't make anyone do anything harsher to someone else to get it. But they made those findings 15 years ago, but they still have people waiting for them to change the law to 1-to-1.
Yeah,
They're still saying no, no, we're not changing it. And they know it's
right.
not. It's an equal drug. One more thing too. You have people that are in there that have been. The purpose of sending people to prison is to have them rehabilitated. They say
Right.
once you
So
show
they say.
signs that, yeah, yeah. So they say once you show signs of rehabilitation, you have served your purpose of going there. So you have people that's been in there since 16, 17 years old, 30 and 40 years ago. They've been rehabilitated, teaching classes. They're scholars, have master's degrees and everything, but they're still just sitting,
Mm.
wasting taxpayers' money and just sitting in it. But it's just a system. So Freedom Fest is needed really just to really bring the light, shed the light on stuff like that. It's all just it's all like just based on discriminatory practices in the system.
And I'm glad you brought back Freedom Fest because Dion, you made a comment about this is Freedom Fest Saturday is not going to be fight the power, let's tear some shit up event. It's a networking event where we all can find out who's out there, what organizations are out there. I can get your card, you can get my card. Look, I got this case. You might have knowledge or connections that I don't. It's also for the families to see who's out there so they can all quit calling Demita. No, I'm just kidding. But but it's a networking event so that we can all see who's out there and we can figure hopefully when we leave Freedom Fest, we done build a family, a camaraderie so that we can come together and move to something bigger. I know Shawana Vine asked me, could we move it around? I'm 100% for moving it around. You all came to Atlanta this year. Next year, we can go to New York. We can go to Alabama. We can go to Detroit. Y'all name it. I don't own the rights to the name Freedom Fest because somebody already does. I didn't know that until someone said, sis, you need to patent it. Well, when I tried, somebody already owns it. But that's fine. I don't need to own the name. I did it this year. Next year, one of y'all pick it up and we'll keep going until we wake this nation up.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. It's definitely
Mhm.
something that's needed. As y'all are speaking, I'm literally thinking of vivid names of people who are literally going through this as we speak. And had I known, or had, maybe I could have said something, or maybe, I don't know. It's just a lot of things going through my mind right now. It's super heavy, but I just want to say I appreciate y'all. And I can't imagine being in that situation and knowing that there are people who are out there who are, because even when I told my beloved, I was like, yeah, this lady, she's out, she got all these people, they're gonna bring the lawyers together and the families, is gonna be great. And just him getting excited and just hearing it, and then for him to come back and be like, oh, I got these two people, you know what I'm saying, I need to talk to the lady, they're gonna come out there. And it's just, I don't know, I think from that perspective, them knowing that people are out here and people are fighting and they're not forgotten, because a lot of times they're forgotten. They're even forgotten by their own family a lot of
Yeah.
times. So to know that there's people out there that are fighting for the general population of them, you know what I mean? Not just their families. Like, we're not just going out there and saying Matthew Baker Jr., who definitely, you know, we need justice for, but we're going out there and we're saying we want to change the laws for the future. We want to change the laws for the past. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? We want to be able to help everybody that encompass it. Your cause is beautiful. Your heart is beautiful. This festival is going to be phenomenal. I'm really excited about it, and the lives that you're going to change.
I hope so. And I hope we, we all of us leave out of there feeling like we're ready for round two. So,
What's next?
yeah, Glenn, so since you're going to be doing the documentary, I know a lot of people are wondering what do they have to do to connect with you. So when
Yeah.
you're out at Freedom Fest, what are
hmm
you going to be looking for while filming?
Well, I'm looking for things that like impactful words and testimonies of people that have experienced what we're fighting for through themselves or through their family member or just on people that just want change. So it'll be based on all that. So when someone does review it, they'll see the need for everything that was presented there. We'll get a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Everything impactful is what we'll keep from the footage to get it in there to have when someone's looking at it, they're like, man, some people may not even know that people were living like this in prison. Some people may not know that families felt like this when their only provider was taken away, innocent and gone 20 years thus far. No one listened to them. So we have different categories of impactful things that people really feel, and it's going to show the impact of why people came out to want that change. So that's how powerful it'll be. When people look at it, it'll be like a historic thing where, hey, look at the Freedom
Yeah.
Fest documentary. It's powerful. We didn't know that this was going on. We didn't know this. We heard about this. Oh, this person experienced that. And if we can all just share it with that network and share it with everyone, even with the politicians and everyone, maybe they'll have a heart and like, well, you know what, man, we really need to get right. You know.
Right. This is, and I'm with Sarah because Sarah, 3 years ago, I didn't know this whole world was going on around me.
Hmm.
And not to take from anybody else, but the fact that Sarah and I don't have anybody, I don't have a husband in prison. I don't have a loved one in prison. It makes, not that, and I don't want to say it the wrong way, but it means a lot
No, it
that we're
means a
here,
lot.
that we're in
The
this fight with you
sacrifice is
guys. And
different.
a lot of times when people are doing it because their loved one is there, when you release the loved one, then there goes their advocacy.
The
But
cause, yeah.
we don't have a reason to stay and we don't have a reason to go. We can just say we want to go today. We don't have to say, well, my husband's home, I'm good. Y'all take it from here, or my child is home, y'all take it. We're here because somebody opened our eyes and we can't unsee what we see.
Hmm.
And you know, you
Absolutely. And it does say a lot. And I understand why you tiptoed around it, but it does say a lot, speaking from somebody who does have someone in the system. Because, it's times when it gets so hard, when you have to call the probation officer 15 times a day, when you have to, find money to put on the phone. It
yeah,
becomes a lot as a person that's going through it. So for us, I think we have, like you said, we have that motivation to say, hey, get behind it and let's get it done. Because at the end of the day, you want your loved one to be free. But for y'all, it's a totally different thing. And it means so much more because you don't have a carrot. You know what I mean? Like, we have a
we can
carrot.
go.
That's been the theme with me this week. But the carrot, that motivation, and y'all don't have that. So it just speaks that it's coming straight from love and straight out of your heart. And that says a lot.
And before we leave, so I think Dion said it, but I don't remember it. I am trying to make it fashionable to advocate for your own loved one. It's easy to go get a Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd T-shirt, but start rocking Free Demita. Who? Not me, but your loved one. Free, and start rocking that, and let's make that the fashion of the 2022 and moving on. That's what I wanted to do with Freedom Fest. So that's why I pitched it by saying, go make shirts with your loved one, go get signs, go get banners. When I met, she's gonna come to Freedom Fest, but they're not speaking because they're on a contract for a movie. But when I met Ronnie Long's wife, Ronnie Long did 44 years in prison for rape. And his wife met him 7 years before he was released. And the way she got everyone's attention was by wrapping his name around her car. Everything she wore had his name on it. She had free Ronnie Long shirts, free Ronnie Long, and his picture all around her car. Her door, you know how you put the little Santa thing on your door at Christmas? She had free Ronnie Long. You couldn't talk to her. She'd be like, well, they'll be like, what would you like for dinner? And she would say, I would like this, but Ronnie Long is eating applesauce and bologna and a piece of toast. and finally, DL Hewley ran into her and was like, every time I see you, you got on, she's a white woman and she has on this black man's shirt. And she was like, oh, I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you about my husband. And from there, he went national, attention got on him, and he's out. So I'm trying to push that. Like, it's okay. I'm not trying to take away from Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd, but rock your own person. If your person gets killed for police brutality, start making all your shirts say free, my son or daughter or whoever got killed. And, let's start that movement. Let's start advocating for our own people, because you can get millions of people to stand up when a celebrity stands up. But when, a regular old person, if I was to get killed right now, it'd be y'all and maybe 100 more people. But if Beyonce finds out I'm dead, it'll be the whole beehive and everybody else. But the chances of me getting Beyonce to advocate for me is 1 in a billion. So, but the chances for me to get my children and my friends and my family should be easy. So that's what we need to start doing. We need to, like you said, bring the families together, get the families involved in this, and start rocking shirts and hats and buttons for your loved one, so that we can start a movement that way. And it's just an idea. You ain't got to do it, but it just,
No, it's beautiful. I think what you're saying speaks volumes, because it's more about, like, because I'm questioning myself as you're talking, because um I think it's a silence to shame in the same thing. You know what I mean? Because sometimes if our loved one isn't wrongfully convicted, or maybe they're in the county jail, and whatever the case may be, and they haven't been sent to prison yet, or whatever, they may be in between, or whatever the case may be, a lot of times we're shamed as the loved one at home because we know we're being judged. and
we're gonna stop that. We're gonna
and
stop that.
that's why, you know what I mean, I'm thinking, because I'm just questioning, like, why don't we do that? You know what I mean? It isn't until someone has been locked away for some time, or if someone has been locked away for a particular reason, that people are screaming free nonstop.
Yeah.
And I even see
Once
people,
there's attention on them, then the
yeah,
family.
then
But
family
we
comes
need to do
and,
it now, day one. Like, I don't care if your person did it. They don't have.
right.
If your husband got caught with some weed, but they're trying to say he got caught with weed and they got 100 gun charges. Hold on, now you're doing too much now. So let's get on this. Let
No,
me.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I even see people who, when it first happens, it'll be free, free, free. And then as time goes on, you know, resentment grows, and it becomes this thing, or like you said, the criticism or whatever may happen. But I do stand behind with the message behind it. You know what I'm saying? As far as stand for your loved ones. You never know who's going to see you out. You never know who's going to take up on your story. And you never know. Like, you might be waiting on a lawyer to call you back
Not
when,
even that, not to cut you off, but what did you just say? You never know. I asked, and this is a friend of Shantae's. I don't know where she went, but 3 weeks ago, me and some of my incarcerated friends worked one of her friends' case at the last minute, and we got him a good deal. And I told her, I said, all I want you to do is go on your social media and have him or whatever, just tell everybody that I spoke up for my rights and this was the outcome. Well, I don't want nobody to know my child's in prison. Okay, but I'm out here trying to get people not to be afraid to speak up for themselves. When I advocate for white people, they're not scared. But when I advocate for black people, they're scared. And then if I parade this white person around that I just got a good sentence on, it's like, well, that was
it's why
white
you
privilege.
helping them.
No, it's not. I don't get that. I get it's white. Well, Sarah got
Oh,
out because she's a blonde hair, blue eyed white girl,
okay.
white privilege. But I don't know if it's white privilege until you try to and you don't get the same results.
Hmm.
Then I will know it's white privilege. But if you don't try, it's not white privilege. If you didn't do the same thing that Sarah did, it's not white privilege. And I want to throw something at y'all. Let me tell y'all what happened with Kyle. He used a law that we all could have used and nobody uses, and we can pick our own jury. We can pick our own jury. And not only that, he called himself a patriot. And if you a patriot, you're lining yourself up with the government, saying that whatever you're doing it in the name of protecting the
America.
United States from her criticizers and anyone trying to harm her. So the way his attorney won that case is making Black Lives Matter seem to
Like a
be a
terror.
terrorist organization in Kyle's eyes, even though they knew they put the attorney put himself in Kyle's mind, turned Black Lives Matter into a terrorist, and said, look, all he was doing was going cross state lines to protect the United States of America from Black Lives Matter, and all his charges got dropped. Was it white privilege? No. The Patriot Act is a law, but what black person about to use it? Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power,
That's
indeed.
Yeah,
right.
Homeboy got a whole video game now, but we ain't gonna talk about it.
right.
But I want to thank y'all so much. We're about to wrap up in a second, so I want to thank y'all so much. I was hoping Shantae would be able to pop back in. She's probably still in the car. But I thank you guys for coming on. I thank you guys for being who you are generally. Like speaking on behalf of myself and everybody else who has anybody or has ever had anybody in the system is extremely hard. And particularly for you guys who don't have anybody in. And to Glenn, I want to hear your story so bad. And I am so, like sorry on behalf of, because
Mhm.
it's heavy to
And
hear.
listen, you were trying to, Tiara was networking with you last week. Glenn and Dion needs to network with you because all of you do reentry. So you
Right.
guys make sure that you don't leave Freedom Fest without it. And
And you can share my number too,
and
Demeter,
we
with
all need to be connected to Sarah because she gonna get them checks so we can get some attorneys on these people.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so excited to meet all of you guys. Again, just thank you for being who you are. Keep up with the fight. Never lose that faith, even though I know you won't. Dion, our producer Julius wants to speak with you because he wants you to be on his show. And yeah, so if you guys can stick around for backstage, again, just thank you. I think we're gonna get caught up in just a second. So if you guys have any closing remarks, let's tell them when Freedom Fest is and where it's at.
July the
Saturday at Grand Park.
Saturday, July 2nd at Grand Park in Atlanta, Georgia. What time is it?
5 to 8.
5 to 8. We'll be there. There'll be performers, there'll be attorneys, there'll be advocates, there'll be activists, there'll be
There'll be
us.
food. There'll be drinks. There'll be
right.
But you know what? Most of all, it'll be unity, man. It'll be
It will
some.
be
yeah.
unity.
You and I,
Absolutely.
TY.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Beta Bishop. And I can't wait to talk about it again next year and see how far and how big it has grown.
Yes. Bye, y'all. See you guys
All right.
Saturday if I don't talk to you before.
See
Okay.
y'all.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Bye.